Señor Cooler.
So, I continue the Mad Max series with Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior. Special thanks to Chuck for not donate. No, I'm not keeping it. Thanks for Chuck for letting me borrow this. Really, and for letting me borrow Beyond Thunderdome. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you. It immediately picks up after the first movie. The opening scene has a flashback sequence that shows actual footage from the first film, just as a kind of opening narrative prologue kind of thing. And it's in standard format, and then when the second movie starts, it expands to wide aspect ratio. I mentioned in the first Mad Max review that I was thinking that the first film was transparent in its low budget, where it kind of was like a thing where you could really tell. You could tell the quality, the production quality, and where it was filmed and how it was filmed. And it was just kind of obvious that they grabbed a bunch of cars, they filmed in the Australian outback, and it just kind of, like I said, it felt transparent at how low the budget was and how they filmed it. Mad Max 2 does a much better job, as I expected, of really atmosphere and world building, especially the opening narration, where where you really get a sense of what the world in general is like, of what's going on in the rest of the world, and how things got to this point. Anyway, with Max's origin out of the way, we pretty much open straight to him, pretty much at the top of the heap as far as the Wasteland Rogue goes. As I was watching, I was thinking, oh man, this is just like, it's just like Fallout, except you have a car instead. So he's driving around in his, what's it called, the Special Pursuit? I think that's what it's called. The famous car that the series is famous for. So he's driving around with it. He's got the car rigged to be booby-trapped, like if someone tries to take the gasoline, it like blows up. So he's got his awesome car, he's got a booby trap to explode if anyone tries to touch it. He's got a shotgun, I think it's a shot-off shotgun. It doesn't have a lot of ammo, but he knows how to pretend that it does and intimidate people. He's got a dog. This dog's really well trained. It follows all of his commands, and it's probably got better AI than most companion dogs in video games, of course, so to speak. I know, whatever. And he's got like combat armor. He's also got like this thing, a brace or some sort around his leg that I'm like, did his leg break in the first movie? I think I forgot about that, or it was like damaged or something for life. And so he always walks with like a little bit of a limp. So anyway, through a series of events, he comes across this oil refinery of sorts in the desert. It's like gated off community, like right in the middle of the wasteland, and they somehow have managed to like start producing oil, start taking it out of the ground and refining it. And as he's like scouting out the place, he sees that a whole bunch of raiders are swarming around the place day and night, and they're all led by this big buff dude with a hockey mask named Lord Humongous, or the Humongous, and he's kind of pulling off a Xerxes kind of thing, where he goes, "So we'll let you go. We will show you mercy. Just give us the oil." And the other raiders are going, "Oh, let's kill him. That's right there." But I mean, that stuff. And he's like, "In time, we just gotta let them think that we're not going to pillage them." But at least he knows he knows the art of diplomacy to a certain extent. A lot. He seems to be smarter than he looks. And so the community goes, the community is still they're split on whether or not they should give the oil and just let them go, or just try and find a way to get out of this. And so Humongous says, "You have one day," and then he and his gang ride off. At another point, Max sees some of these people get attacked, and they kill a lot of the guys. They rape one of the women, and like while her husband's chained up to his car and watching and bleeding, and so they rape her and they kill her, and it's a horrific scene. And so Max takes up the husband and he brings him back, and the husband says, "So if you bring me back, well, you can have as much gas as you want, or several tanks or whatever. You can, yeah, sure, help yourself. Just get me back to the town." So they bring him back, and the guy dies before he is able to tell the rest of the community about it. And so they don't trust Max at all. They think that he's probably one of the same kinds of guys that are in Humongous's group. He might even be a spy or something. And so then Humongous comes back and, issues his... That's the part where he comes back and tells them they have one day. And so then, in the middle of them, debating whether or not what they should do with all of this, Max goes, "Hey, I saw a truck a couple miles down the road that could probably pull the oil tanker of gas away from this place. Get you out of here, get you and your gas out of here. That I think that's exactly what you need." And they're going, "Okay." But so in order to entrust him with that, they go, "Okay, you can carry a few tanks of gasoline, but you can't go with your car. You got to go on foot. We'll keep your car just as insurance, just to make sure that you do come back." So he carries up the gasoline on bars, like it's his cross to bear almost. And so he gets the truck back, and then through a lot of the gang catches on that he's bringing it back, and so during the assault the truck gets damaged, but he manages to bring it back, and they start fixing it up, and they start fixing him up too. So while this is happening, Max is basically taking Han Solo's character from A New Hope and taking it to the extreme, where he's just in it for the reward, he's just in it for the money, and once he gets his reward, he wants to leave. He doesn't want to be part of any of this. And I've always thought that was one of the weaker parts of A New Hope, is that you don't really get much of a sense as to why Han Solo doesn't want to stick around for the cause. And you don't get much of a sense either why he comes back to save him in the end. It's kind of implied, but it seems like it was kind of a sudden turnaround. And you don't really get why he thought... You don't get enough development of Han's turnaround. It makes sense, and it works for the better for his character, but you just need to flesh that out a bit more. This film is where that's the main story going on here, is that he doesn't want to be part of the group. He doesn't want to... He's not the kind of guy who wants to be the savior. He wants to take his reward and go. And so as they're preparing to leave, as they're preparing to gather up the things, take the tanker, and try and escape Humongous, Max goes, "Okay, I've got my reward. You've given me some gas. You've given my car back, and now I'm going to leave." So they go, "Okay, fine. Deal's the deal. You can leave." And so he drives off, and immediately Humongous's gang starts gathering around him, and they get him off road, and then the moment when his car started flipping over and is just totaled, absolutely totaled, I was pretty shocked, because I was thinking we would still get one more movie out of that car, because we have Beyond Thunderdome as well. And so I'm like, oh, they killed off the car. And so Max and the dog get out of the car, and they shoot the dog, and Max is bleeding all over, and he's limping. He's not even limping. He's crawling away from it, and then when they try to get his car, the booby trap explodes it, and pretty much just there's no chance this car is coming back at all. And in just one moment, he's just lost everything. Not only his reward, but everything he had at the start. He's now a guy who has absolutely nothing. All he's got left is his life, his armor, and his gun. That's it. And so I'll get back to that in a moment. While this is all happening, there's also this wild child running around, this ambiguous gender kid. I'm pretty sure it's a boy, and he's got this like really razor sharp boomerang that cut one of the gang's head motorcycles one of the gang's head motorcyclists gimp. Like he's riding a motorcycle, and he's got like this other like fair haired bondage dude that just rides bitch on his motorcycle. So this kid is proven to be either fearless or stupid, probably both. So the guy that introduced Max to the community, the guy who's like runs I think it's like some sort of primitive skeleton helicopter, and so they call him the gyro captain, I think, at the end. Gyro captain? I think that's what it is. So the gyro captain, he finds Max, and he sees the smoke, and he's like, oh, Max bit the big one, didn't he? And so he goes and he rescues him and brings him back, and they start cleaning Max up and fixing his wounds, and he still looks like crap. Like half his face is scarred and just like permanently, and like he's limping harder than ever. Like foot's all messed up or something. What he decides then is that he wants to drive the oil tanker truck and help them out. And again, I'll get back to that in just a second. So he wants to help them out, and so he decides to drive the truck, and they're like, okay, you can do that. And so while he drives the oil tanker, and Humongous's group like just swarms over him, the rest of the people, they escape in their vehicles and their bus, and they ride off in the opposite direction, and then they blow up their refinery, and like some of Humongous's guys, and like it's a really well done explosion as well. And so Mad Max has this elongated fight scene with it's probably, in a weird way, it's one of the best car chases ever, because it's nothing but like the kinds of elements that they have to deal with is just nothing but just an open road and the cars that they have going on. And it really is amazing for the time that, like, just from those elements, the vehicles they have on the road, the people in their vehicles, like, just from the vehicles on the road and the weapons that they have really great fights. It's not like there's, like, a bunch of traffic thing going on, or a lot of bizarre turns, or, like, they're in the city and, like, oh no, they're blowing up the hot dog stand, or whatever. It's just straight up in road, and they make it really post-pounding and exciting. Okay, I admit the music gets extremely repetitive throughout the long fight scene, and it kind of does. It drags on a little too long, but I'm still cool with it. And a lot of the cars have these really interesting designs on them. They're very early signs of steampunk and all that. And again, this is the kind of stuff we get games like Borderlands and Fallout from. And so so eventually they manage to topple over the oil tanker when he runs over Lord Humongous. Like he does like a surprise turn, and then they run over Humongous, and so most of the gang is like just wiped out and dead. And the tank rolls over, and then it starts spilling out sand. And so Max is looking at it, like, it's just sand. And so the gang sees that it was a decoy, and so the gang runs off. And so then the film ends with the community in their bus, and the bus is full of these oil barrels, and this is highly flammable, and it's oil. And so the van runs off, and it's then revealed that the narration at the beginning and the end is the future wild child who has grown up to be the chief of the tribe. And, he's saying, we'll always remember the road warrior or whatever. And so it just leaves Max by the side of the road with nothing. Like I said, the environments are really well done, the atmosphere, the setting. It's one of those things where now it's starting to feel like an apocalypse movie, post-apocalypse movie. And it's another film where it's really good at... It's something that I can't really convey so well here, but it's one of the things of, like I said, master of show, don't tell. They do a lot of things, and just by the camera looking at it, George Miller knows that the audience can kind of put it together, and they don't really have any dialogue explaining it, or all that. Like when Max shoots his gun, and then the bullet misfires, catches fire, and it didn't work, it didn't fire off at all. They don't go, oh, it was a dud. You just see that it's a dud. It's a movie of few words. It knows when to show and it knows when to tell, and it usually prefers to show. I like it when movies do that. As far as the Max character, it's been an interesting journey for him, because I immediately started to notice that this movie and the movie before it end up with the hero worse off than he was before. And the first movie, he started off with a job at the police force, a wife and a kid, and they're kind of happy. And by the end of it, he still has his awesome police car and his awesome gun, but he's lost his wife and his kid, and it's just driven him off the edge, and he's probably not working at the job anymore. And so, by the end of the first movie, he's worse off than he was before. And by this movie, now he has even less. He's lost his car, he's lost his dog, he's lost the gas, the reward that he had, and now his body's all deformed and stuff. And one of the rules of thumb of movies is that you want to see your hero better off than when they started, or if they're an anti-hero, you want to see them go over to the good side or something. But these movies, things just get worse for this guy. And I've thought a while about why that is, and I think it's really just a sign of how the wasteland is just breaking him down, as he's one of the last people from the original society, from the old society. He's a remnant. He's one of the last remnants of law and order from that, and now he's not even keeping up that. He's just kind of self-serving. And I think the message behind that is that he's a character who's interested in two things. One, survival, and two, his freedom. He wants to live and he wants to go do whatever he wants to do, but he doesn't have any goals. He doesn't have anything motivating him or driving him. And he's just kind of wandering around, finding gas, finding food, and surviving. And then when he comes across the community, he now has the chance to have something better, to do some greater good. That he has he has a chance to have something to live for, to fight for, to strive for. And these people seem pretty nice, pretty reasonable, and they have some sense of civilization, of sensibility. And normally you'd think this would be the part where he goes, maybe humanity still does have a chance. Maybe humanity has a chance. Maybe I should just kind of see this through, see it out, and just kind of, give them a chance. Or at least help them out. Maybe they'll make things better one day for the civilization. But he doesn't go with it like that, and I don't think he goes with it for that reason either. I think that once he had his reward, he was like, I'm done. I don't care what happens to you guys. I'm done. I just don't have any faith in humanity anymore. And so as he leaves, and then he gets everything blown up, and when he comes back and he decides to drive the oil tanker, I don't think this is out of the kindness of his heart or generosity or faith in humanity or anything. I think he's starting to realize that what he's doing has an impact on other people, and that he doesn't want everything that he's just worked for in getting the oil tanker for them. He doesn't want it all to be a complete waste. It's not that he wants to help them, it's that he doesn't want to have lost all of his stuff for absolutely nothing. Because he doesn't really have much faith in them getting the oil tanker out themselves. And I'm thinking that that's starting to build his character towards I don't want my efforts to be wasted, which will later translate into I want my efforts to mean something. He hasn't reached that point yet where he thinks that he has an impact on, where he wants to make an impact and he wants to make things better for people, or to have him recover, or to have him regain his sanity of some sort. And I think that the community somewhat recognizes this, and that's why they don't really entrust him with the oil tanker. Partly because it's just a more tactical plan, just to kind of have to make the humongous think the oil's in the big tanker and take it off, to sneak it away. But they didn't even tell Max about this. They didn't tell him you're just a decoy, because they didn't think he would go along with it. But in a way, I think they must have felt that there was some sort of, that he gets what he deserves after all this. And so the film doesn't end on a great note for Max. It ends on a great note for the tribe, or whatever they're called. That he's just left there by the side and just doesn't have much left. But maybe he's starting to learn that his actions are supposed to have meaning, and he's supposed to work for something and supposed to live for something. He hasn't figured out what that something is yet, but you could argue that maybe he's better off. Anyway, that's The Road Warrior. I'm not sure if... Again, my attitude towards the film is a lot more like the first one, where I'm just kind of... It's not like RoboCop, where I go, best thing ever! It's the kind of thing where I'm going... I'm really fascinated at how this film is made, and the kind of choices that they make, and the direction that they take. And the fascination with the show don't tell. Maybe the whole steampunk wasteland kind of thing just isn't my thing. And from my experience with Borderlands, that may just be what it is. That just like, yeah, I'm not really drawn to that kind of style, that kind of thing. I like Fallout, but for different reasons, because Fallout has a more structured story, whereas Borderlands and Mad Max just kind of go over the top. I know I'm comparing games to movies, but whatever. It's storytelling. But yeah, it's a very solid movie. Maybe it's not exactly up my alley, but I know that there's a lot of people who would love this kind of thing. I think I'll probably show Bronson it still. But yeah, now move on to Beyond Thunderdome and to Mad Max Fury Road. I didn't catch it opening weekend, but that's fine. I still think it's more important for me to watch the previous films before seeing this new one, since I have that opportunity. I'll see you guys next time.